Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about plastics in general and more specifically bioplastics and what differs bioplastics from like everyday plastics that we use. Uh, and like this is basically a continuation of something I had done 2 years back called the Poonvaram Plastic Pollution Campaign, which aimed at like reducing the overall plastic usage, especially single-use plastic, because that really is bad for the environment, etc. And if everyone's joined, I'll start a Kahoot quiz just to show you like uh, some facts about plastics and what they are and to test your knowledge basically on what you already know. Okay, so right now the 17, 18 people. I guess two more have to join, or should I start?
Shrey, there is a Kahoot code on the. You've joined in late, Shrey. There is a Kahoot code. Please join the Kahoot. Shrey, you've joined in late. Please join the Kahoot code which has been provided to you. We really have to start with the activity, Shrey.
Yes, ma'am, just a second.
And all the people who have joined in late, okay? Please make sure you join the Kahoot code because he's going to start with that. Okay? David, you can start. It's okay. As many people are there, you just start.
Uh, okay, so does everyone see?
Ma'am, someone kicked me out.
Uh, okay, does everyone see the question on screen? Okay, so just 9% of all plastics produced till now are actually recycled. People who thought 99, yeah, it isn't nearly that. It's not even above 10% of what we're doing. Yeah, so the correct answer was 1%. Uh, this is basically the annual production. So each year, out of the total plastics produced, only 1% are bioplastics. If we're talking about the total plastic produced and what that compares to bioplastics, it'll be even lesser than 1%. Yeah, so conventional plastics are the everyday plastics that we use, and they are basically made from petroleum or other petroleum products. And that's why the material that are used to make these plastics that we use every day are non-renewable and are not bio-based. Uh, so, like popular to contra like pop contrary to popular belief, uh, I bioplastics are actually much more expensive than conventional plastics, just because the fact that conventional plastics or the plastics that we use every day have had a long time to develop. So, like plastics were first made in 1907, like it's more than 100 years back. So, and bioplastics are a much more recent thing. And conventional plastics have had a 70-year lead over bioplastics to get developed. And that's why in the manufacturing process, as well as per like customer demand, the normal plastics that we use every day are actually much cheaper than bioplastics. Like in India, for example, we could get a conventional plastic bag for like 1 rupee, but the same volume of bioplastic bag would be for 10 rupees. Yeah, so the pretty obvious answer was substance that like the answer was obviously not this one, substances that do not decompose. I don't know why three people put that in, because biodegradable, as the word suggests, are substances that degrade because of some biological phenomenon. And anaerobic basically means a- like uh, without living conditions and without oxygen, etc. And this is, even though this exists, this is not what biodegradable means. This is just a definition of degradable. Biodegradable are actually due to bacteria and other microorganisms that when they digest these substances, they degrade them. And thus, there's no harm to the environment. This is the everyday plastics that we use. Yeah, so it is 1,000 years, and that is a long time. And even after 1,000 years, they do not completely degrade, they only partially degrade. So certain chemicals would still have ill effects on the environment and would severely damage it after 1,000 years. And since they are not biodegradable, they would just degrade, which would be in anaerobic conditions without oxygen or without living organisms helping their decay. Yeah, so there are more plastic pieces in the ocean than stars in the Milky Way, and this is in trillions. And the human population is just in billions. So you can imagine how much plastic is there in the ocean right now. 79% of plastics do end up in landfills, and even in oceans, a large amount of plastics enter just because of the fact that they can't degrade, and we need a proper way to store them or to just dispose them off. So there is an island of plastic between Hawaii and California, which is 1.6 million kilometers square, and that is about 3 times the size of Texas. Uh, and that is how much plastic we're throwing into the ocean. Also, they say around three garbage trucks of plastic are dumped into the ocean every minute. Okay, so some of you uh, got that. To others who didn't, like, yeah, you
Okay.
learned something new.
Yeah, Raina, you nailed it. That's really nice, Raina.
Ma'am.
Uh, I'm going to be starting. I'm going to be starting with the presentation on plastics right now, and basically all about plastic. Just a sec.
Did you guys recognize Devaj? Did you look at his face? Did you recognize him? Some of you, have you seen him in the school?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Right? Most of you might have seen him in school. So
ma'am.
Devaj
Yeah.
is actually been making bioplastics at home, and he's just moving on to his PPT, and he'll be talking about it. Okay, so let's listen to him. Devaj, you can start. Okay.
Yes. So, first of all, if we talk about plastics, we can generally classify plastics as one thing. Does anyone know what we can call plastics? Like bioplastics, plastics, they can all come under one term. It's also the same as, ma'am told me you studied proteins and these molecules recently. So, what are proteins and all? Does anyone know what that term is called? When many small molecules join together to make a larger molecule.
Come
I
on,
mean,
guys. Yeah, you can try. What are proteins made up of? We all have done it, right? What are proteins made up of? The simpler molecules. Some of you can just answer. What are
Carbon
the what are the small molecules called? What are the remember I told you guys the small beads which join to each other to form the big protein?
Ma'am, can I?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Please, the stage is open. Answer, guys.
Ma'am, cellulose. Amino acid.
Amino acids,
Ma'am,
yes.
yeah.
ma'am, they're made of
Yes, ma'am.
carbon, carbon dioxide. Ma'am, they're made of
So,
carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen.
Yeah, those are the
so
simple
right now,
element. Yeah, David,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
So right now, when we talk about protein in terms of its small molecules, we always say amino acids because many amino acids join together to form a polymer. Now, what a polymer is basically is that it is a molecule in which many smaller molecules called monomers join together in a chemical reaction called polymerization. So, like many amino acids join together to form one protein molecule, that is basically how a polymer works. So, in plastics, there'll be many similar smaller molecules that would join together in long chains, and thus a plastic is formed. And now we go on to the types of conventional plastics. Does anyone know what a resin number is? If you don't, you can say no, by the way.
Can you please repeat?
Resin number, RESIN number.
Resin, a material.
Yeah, resin's
Is
a
it resin a
material.
material used for construction?
Yeah, yeah. So,
So I don't know what resin number is, but I do know what resin.
yeah. So, have any of you seen these symbols saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 behind like uh, plastic bottles or plastic cans or something? these, you know what I'm talking about, right? When it says one PET, two HDP, three PVC.
Ma'am, do we have to practice this chapter afterwards?
You guys don't have to practice the chapter, guys. Don't worry. This is an activity. This is for your extra information. This is not related to the chapter. Don't worry, Ayana.
So, okay, I'll start by explaining the whole thing. The general narrative around plastic is that it's bad, right? But you can't generalize the statement. It's very simple to say that all plastics are bad, but some are actually better than others in terms of what they do to the environment. And a helpful strategy is basically raising awareness about the plastics, that therefore aiding better decision at an individual level, right? So plastics can basically be classified into seven types, conventional plastics, this is, based on their composition. And the first type is PETE, called polyethylene terephthalate, with phthalate, and you don't need to remember this name. So the thing is that the number that you see above PET, HDPE, PVC, it basically represents how many times the plastic can be used or can be recycled. And PET is the most common type. PET is the most common type of plastic, and this is known as the single-use plastic, because although it can be recycled only once, and even then it is damaging to the environment, because under high temperatures, even the sun's rays, in fact, they can secrete carcinogenic elements or cancer-related chemicals which can damage it. So that's why single-use plastics are really bad to use, and uh, yeah, the best type of plastics you can use are actually plastics with the recycling code of 2, which is HDPE, uh, recycling code of 4, which is LDPE, and recycling code of 5, which is PP. This is basically because these materials do not contain plasticizers that could leach into food when the container is heated in the microwave, washed in the dishwasher, or left in the sun for a long period of time. Now, what a plasticizer is basically a element. Do you all know what catalysts are? Like catalysts help to
Yes.
for the yeah, speed up the reaction. A
Yes, yes.
plasticizer, what it basically does is
Starch is also a catalyst.
um, Uh, so basically, what plasticizers do is that they help to form the plastic, because sometimes the initial reaction between plastics makes it into a very stiff form, and thus plasticizers would lower it down and make it bendable, or make it into something that's actually useful. Uh, Basically, they add a bond between the elements, but you don't have to know that. It's basically used to make the plastic usable, but otherwise it doesn't work. And sometimes what happens, like in case of, for example, PVC, the plasticizer used contains carcinogenic elements or cancer related elements, which if you put something hot like food on it, the elements could actually get into your food, and that would prove to be bad for your health and even for the environment if you try to dispose it in that way. So plastic containers with the code 1, which is PET, 3, PVC, 6, PS, and 7, are more prone to chemical leaching, like I explained, because of their plasticizers, and are thus less suitable to reuse. Uh, like PVC and PC even have certain elements that cause endocrine disrupting properties. Do you all know what endocrines are? Do you know what the endocrine system is in biology? Again, you can say no if you don't know.
No.
So, endocrine systems are basically a collection of glands. Now, do you at least know what glands are in our body? So, glands are the things that basically produce hormones, which would affect different parts of the body and further its development. Uh, can anyone give me an example of a gland or a hormone?
Oil gland.
Salivary
Mammary gland.
gland. Glands.
Yeah, so all this is part of a system called the endocrine system. And now the PVC and PC, which are basically number three and number seven, they contain chemicals which disrupt the working of these endocrine glands. And PET even contains
Types?
elements.
Which types?
Uh,
Which
the
types?
Yeah, the number three and number seven, which is
Numbers
uh,
3 and number 7.
yeah, and basically number seven is not just PC like what I talked about right now. PC is polycarbonate, but number seven
Excuse me.
is yeah,
Which plastic is one of the best to use
like the best to use are actually
for the
two.
environment?
Yeah, so bioplastics are obviously the best, but besides that, in terms of conventional plastics, using number two, number four, number five, which are HDPE, LDPE, and PP, are actually the best to use. And HDPE are like
Okay.
in milk jugs, and they are used to for soap containers, etc. And the reason these are best to use is that they do not produce problems such as leaching, and also they have a higher recyclable potential. Like they can be recycled a lot of times and safely compared to other types of plastics. Uh, by the way, do you all understand what I have talked about till now?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yes.
besides, yeah, I So PET is basically used in like mineral bottles. These are the single-use plastics in utensils, in soft drink bottles. And HDPE is used in like soap containers. It's also used in like milk jugs and other containers for cool liquids. PVCs are like, have you seen that plastic wrapping that you put on your food sometimes? So that is made of PVC, and even trays are made from that. PVC is also used in pipes. I'm sure all of you must have heard about PVC pipes.
Yes.
Yeah, so PVC pipes are also made from this, and they can have a resin number of three times, which means they can be recycled three times. And do you have you heard of these terms before? LDPE, PVC, PP.
No.
Which are,
PVC, yes, but none of
Only
the
some,
other
not
ones.
all. Only some, not all.
yeah.
Only PVC.
PVC and
Only
other.
PVC. I have one question.
Yeah.
Which is the worst plastic to use? Like, of
So,
course, plastics are bad, but which one is the worst?
uh, so it's not like there's a worst, but the ones that are extremely bad are like, especially for purposes such like to dispose of, are PET, which is the single-use plastics, the mineral bottles and all. PVC, which is polyvinyl chloride, and also polystyrene, which is used in thermocols. are basically one of the worst plastics to use because of the factors of leaching and because of that they don't degrade very well. Do you all understand this?
So like bioplastics degrade like uh in how many years?
So it depends on bioplastics to bioplastics. Some bioplastics can take just a few months to degrade. Some might take up to a year or so. And some might even degrade in weeks or seconds. Like one plastic that I recently made.
Seconds?
Yeah, so what one plastic I recently made actually dissolves in water. So even though naturally in the environment it would take a few days to degrade, but if you mix it in water, it won't take long. So in just about 1 or 2 minutes of stirring, it can completely dissolve in water. Now we move on to bioplastics. Does anyone know what bioplastics are basically? Just take a guess from the name only. What do you think they are?
They're
Plastics
plastics,
that are degradable.
decomposable
They're
materials that are
plastics which are
biodegradable.
grown to make a plant.
They're plastics which are made from biodegradable material, decomposable material.
Plastics that are made from biodegradable wastes.
Yeah.
Or
Uh,
from
And
renewable.
plastics that can be grown into a plant.
okay. So all of you are partially correct. Bioplastics are not made just from waste, like one person said. And another thing is that not all bioplastics are actually degradable. Like they are degradable, not biodegradable. Sorry. Bioplastics is a very general term. Bioplastics are any plastic that is primarily derived from a renewable organic material like cornstarch or organic matter for that fact. And bioplastic sources such as milk and yeah, and unlike conventional plastics, they are made through distillation and polymerization and have a lot of ecological impacts that help to reduce our footprint. So there are two types of bioplastics. One is bio-based plastics and one is biodegradable plastics. Now, bio-based plastics aren't actually biodegradable. The only reason they are bioplastics is because sometimes because they're made of like renewable organic matter, right? And sometimes if you mix, for example, even organic matter, they don't biodegrade because of the chemical they form. Uh, some bacteria and other living organisms won't be able to completely break them down. The other type of bioplastics are actually bioplastics that are biodegradable. And what this means is that and biodegradable, it can be broken down by organisms like bacteria, fungi, and algae into water, carbon dioxide, methane, biomass, and inorganic compounds. But sometimes even plastics that are biodegradable have a special technique by which they can degrade. Like a certain process has to be done, otherwise they don't completely degrade. For example, there's a bioplastic called PLA, and PLA doesn't fully biodegrade unless you used a proper method to degrade it, and it's an industrial based process, and you can reuse PLA after that and turn it into
Polylactic acid.
compost. Yes, PLA stands for polylactic acid. And now I'll tell you about the three types, like bi- degradable, biodegradable, and compostable. These are just three terms that you need to know. Degradable, basically all plastics, including conventional plastics, are technically degradable. Like given the right amount of time and environmental conditions, they will break down into tiny fragments. That is what degradable means. Degradable is just that it will break down into tiny fragments, not into the simplest form, but into tiny fragments of their original form. However, material used to make traditional plastics will never fully return to the natural state and will continue to pollute the environment with chemical compounds. Do you understand what degradable means?
Yes.
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 And I've explained what biodegradable means, and there's another term known as compostable. Does anyone know what compostable is?
Something that can be composted to be absorbed in the soil and to be used and
Yeah,
to its
so
nutrients to be
And
used
it
by
does
the
not
plants.
need any industrial process to get degraded.
Compostable means that it could break down into natural elements.
yeah, so the remember I talked about PLA. So PLA is actually a compostable type of plastic that requires industrial process to make it compostable, and it's basically an injection molded bioplastic that that is quickly replacing bioplastics these days because it's the most popular bioplastic currently, and it produces 70% fewer greenhouse gases when it degrades in landfills. Now, the only problem is if bioplastics are so great, then why aren't they used right now and everywhere? Bioplastics actually, yeah, someone wants to say something?
No, they was continue.
Sure.
Continue.
Uh, So some bioplastics are actually better than normal conventional plastics that we use, and their density is greater. They run on like better. They require lesser initial temperatures to produce, and they even withstand more heat. Not these ones in particular, but some actually are much better than conventional plastics. The only reason that they aren't as popular is because of the popular demand. Like if we're talking about businesses and they get a plastic cup in like 1 rupee, and they are getting the same plastic cup for bioplastics in 5 rupees, even that's like a 500% factor. So they would obviously choose the conventional plastics over bioplastics.
So the price is the biggest factor why this is not working.
Yeah, so
Because people don't want to buy
yeah,
expensive,
it's
which they can buy for like 1 rupee.
hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's the reason prices are high is not because of the industrial process. Like even acquiring materials for bioplastic has actually proven to be cheaper than getting petroleum products, obviously. And it's basically that there is not much demand. Now, if there is a large demand of bioplastics, then then or like prices will drop because industries would be able to do it at a much larger scale. This is a concept known as economies of scale, which you learn later in economics, but this is basically how it works. Does anyone have any questions related to this?
Or maybe because we're using bioplastics, so we're actually using things from the nature, and like maybe it's because cutting down trees will harm us in the future.
But the thing is, if you cut down trees, right, then you can one trees is a renewable source because you can plant trees, and even if you cut down trees, then they'll be degraded easily and they can turn into manure, and those nutrients will further help other plants to grow. So it's much better than if you see something like conventional plastics which are made of petrol, which will get over in a few years, like by 2050, they say that, but I don't know about that. And they don't completely degrade, nor are they toxic or harmful for that matter. Uh, but they are toxic and harmful, conventional plastics. So bioplastics are better that way. Now, you can actually make a lot of bioplastics at home using products you have. Wait. I'll show you how to make a bioplastic right now during class. And I'll even give you a few recipes on some bioplastics you can make it at yourself at home. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, so while Devaj is actually setting up, he's going to demonstrate to you guys how each one of you will be actually able to make it at home. He's going to make it right now in front of you, okay? So it is not a difficult task. Don't worry, the things are going to be easily available. I've sent you multiple links yesterday where you can actually use home products. And while he's preparing the bioplastic right in front of you, that's the reason why he had connection with two Devaj, because he's going to use one camera, one is set up with a camera where you can see it in his house how he's actually doing it. Okay, and he'll also show you the pictures of bioplastic. So during this lockdown period, Devaj has actually been working at home on his own, trying to prepare bioplastics from different ways. He's trying to figure out the best way to actually do that. I know, Javed, everyone is very excited to see that. I'll be more excited, everyone, after seeing Devaj. Okay, I want everyone to do it on their own. Try and do it with your parents, because you will need the gas, you will need everything on, and you'll have to do it at the right consistency. Make sure you have all the things ready when you are doing it, okay? And make sure, for all the people who have joined in, each one of you will make your own bioplastic. You will actually put it up in form of a video and a collage of 5 photographs, okay? A video and a collage. I will
Ma'am,
use.
have to
What do we have to make a
send
video that we are in the stove, like we're working on the
Yeah,
stove?
yeah, yeah. And you can actually speak, like, you are stirring it in the stove, and you can even have your parents in the picture. I don't have problem. You can even have your sibling in the picture. Okay.
Ma'am, so we have to
Dog in
upload
the
it on
pictures.
Google Classroom, or we have to mail it to you? Or send it to
Whatever is easier, sometimes, Raina, the videos will be so big that they will not come through Google Classroom or Gmail. So you will have to send it on my Google Drive. Okay.
You can also
Okay.
just send like pictures of the bioplastic that you
Right,
finally create.
right. You can also send me pictures. If you think sending video is becoming difficult, make the video. You can actually give me the video, and that's why I'm saying 5 collage pictures also works best with me of your bioplastic, and you actually standing by the stove and stirring it. Okay, and I don't think each one of you is. Yes,
Ma'am, we can
somebody.
make a collage,
Yeah,
then we
Can
can
you please
send it
just give the picture of the bioplastic?
just bioplastic का picture क्यों दोगे? ये how will I know that you have done it? तुमने इंटरनेट से कॉपी पेस्ट करके पिक्चर नहीं डाली है. How will I know that?
Ma'am,
So, ma'am, can we just
ma'am,
send it to you through WhatsApp or mail the collage?
Whatever works for you. You have all the ways. Okay, just drop a message on Google Classroom saying that I have sent it this way, and I will retrieve it. Don't worry.
Make a
Okay,
video.
Devaj, are you ready?
We have to make both video and collage, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Devaj, are you ready?
So, yes,
Can you, guys, okay, everyone shut off your mics. We have Devaj, and he'll be showing it to you. Everyone should be able to see Devaj. Okay.
so this right here is an bioplastic that is actually created from alcohol and cornstarch. And right here is a bioplastic that I've created from waste potato peels that you can. And today, what I'm going to be showing you is a cornstarch-based bioplastic where I've used glycerin as a plasticizer. Now, the 4 basic ingredients that you need for this are starch, water, vinegar, and glycerin. Now, the main reaction is actually happening between starch and vinegar, and they create sort of a stiff biopolymer, and glycerin acts like a plasticizer and makes it more brittle and softer and usable as a plastic. So, for example, if this bioplastic did not have any this not have any glycerin or any plasticizer, it would be very stiff and it'll break easily. Right now, it's folding and it can actually be used for something. Now, the proportions of the ingredients are basically four tablespoons of water,
Ma'am, the video isn't clear though.
It's okay. The video will come in not very clear to you guys because each one will have a different type of connection. Okay. So the recording is going on. I'll anyways upload it for you. Don't worry. Okay.
Ma'am, it is 4 tablespoons of water.
Yeah, you can basically this is for one small batch. Right now, I'm making one small batch, but if you want to do a larger one, you can use like 8 tablespoons of water, and thus you would increase all your ingredients by 2 times, and you can go on like that. It's 4 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon of glycerin, 1 teaspoon of vinegar, and also you would need 1 tablespoon of cornstarch or any other starch that you're using. And basically, first you have to mix all of them gently together in like low, without heat. So you don't even need to turn off the stove, just mix them together. And after you mix them, then you turn out the heat at a low temperature. You don't do it at a very high temperature because that might disrupt the plastic. And you constantly mix for some time until it becomes like almost milky and it starts to lose a little color and becomes thick. So it's already started to form a polymer. As you can see, there are some clumps here, and it's like becoming thicker and thicker as time goes on. So now this gel-like substance has been created here. This is actually the bioplastic that you would have to leave to dry. And when it becomes like this, it becomes thick, uh, then you'd have to take it out on a tray or on an aluminium sheet, whichever you would find best, and you'd and take the help of your mom or whoever would help you in the kitchen to work with the gas. So you take all the plastic and then you'd spread it on aluminium foil or a tray. I'm using aluminium foil in this case. And make sure that you spread it to like thin sheets because with cornstarch based bioplastic, what I've noticed is that if it's too thick, then it doesn't dry up properly. And this could take up to 2 days to dry up. I haven't done it properly in a sheet right now, but you could do it in a sheet as I made a small batch, so I didn't have enough to make a sheet out of it. So after 2 to 3 days of drying, you just or one day or you just start to peel it out of here and peel it gently so that the plastic doesn't break in between.
So how much can you leave it for?
Yeah, so it depends. Like after practice, you would have to get used to it. But for me, even after one day, it'll be fine to take it out. However, this potato plastic in particular took about 3 days to become like this. I removed it on the second day, but after one more day, it became perfect. It became perfect. And this is the alcohol-based bioplastic that I'd created. This had actually, I'd used alcohol as a plasticizer, not glycerin, which is usually used. So that's why it came out to be crumbly because I was actually experimenting with different types of plasticizer. And this is basically what happens if you use less glycerin to make your bioplastic. Okay, so any questions?
So guys, did you like it? See, please ask questions. Please ask
Is
questions.
there one way to make bioplastics or like there are many?
What?
Is there only one
Do
way
we
of
have
making
any alternate to glycerin?
I'll just show you.
Ingredient to make it.
Yeah, just
I
a
mean,
sec.
are there any other ingredients that can be used? Like, orange peel and other ingredients can be used.
Yeah, bioplastics can be made from many types of ingredients. Like this is just a cornstarch based bioplastic, and there are also bioplastics that can be made from agar or like different types of ingredients.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is there any replacement to glycerin
Uh,
as a plasticide?
Yeah, so there are a few replacements to glycerin, but usually we use either glycerin or there's another chemical compound which I forgot the name of. And these two are the basic plasticizers, but you can use anything for this particular plastic that has a hydroxyl group or a OH group. Now, glycerin actually has three hydroxyl groups, and that's why it's best suited as a plasticizer compared to alcohol, which only has one. So, three times the quantity would be needed compared to the number of OH groups. It's a little complicated, but you don't need to know about that stuff right now. Right now, I'll share a book kind of thing with you. I'll share it on the link on the chat. And this is basically bioplastic recipes that you can create at home. Now, there's one which is gelatin based, which uses water, gelatin, and glycerin as an plasticizer. And there's one agar based, cornstarch based. There are basically many different things you can choose from based on the ingredients you have at home or what interests you more. And I'll be sharing this link with you. Uh, I know most of you would make the cornstarch based bioplastic only, but I encourage you all to like explore the different types and make maybe more than one type if it interests you. Anyways, you're free these days in quarantine, and it's like a good pastime, and
Like, where
it's
do we get
interesting.
gelatin in agar form? Like,
Yeah.
where do we get gelatin and agar from?
Okay, so you
So
can get gelatin. You know, gelatin is easily available on any food store you'll go. You know, Ayana, gelatin is actually used to make jellies. So a lot of people are making jellies at home. So you can easily get gelatin from any confectionery store where you go to buy baking powder, or in
Ma'am,
fact,
can we use the jelly powder
Excuse
itself?
me, ma'am.
what, Ayana?
We use the jelly powder itself.
No, don't use jelly powder because it has other impurities also. Okay. So, you know, if you go, gelatin is used a lot. If it is not available, it's there on Amazon also. It comes on Amazon, so you can order it on Amazon also. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
And it's deliverable
Ma'am,
also. Yes, Ihit, you had a question?
Ma'am,
Yes, Janvi.
ma'am, I had tried to make bioplastic yesterday.
Okay, great. Do you want to show us
But
what you prepared in the end?
ma'am, I boiled 1 cup of water and added cornstarch in it and vinegar in it.
Okay, yes. Did it work
But
for you?
it didn't. It worked, but it was not soft.
Okay.
yeah, so basically the only problem was that you didn't add glycerin to it. Now, if you don't add glycerin, it'll be like what Janvi has created. You'll get that type of a biopolymer that wouldn't be soft and it would easily crumble. I guess that's what was happening to you.
Yeah.
Was yeah.
Janvi, yes, that's, I think, yeah, they were just correct. Janvi, that's what actually happened. So, you know, glycerin, you can talk to your mothers. Okay. Glycerin is actually used sometimes to clean face. Okay. Sometimes when you have pimples. So, maybe your mothers have it in their, or your older grandparents have it with them. Sometimes it's actually used. Okay. So, guys, if you don't have any questions, we are done with the class at 11:45. We are already 2 minutes up. So Devaj has just shared the link with all of you. You can just copy the link and keep it with you. So there are many recipes, and plus, you know, I had sent you many links yesterday. So you can prepare a bioplastic from any method you want. I want to clear it. You can prepare it from any method you want. Okay. In the end, you have to send me a video and you have to send me a collage. Okay. of 5 pictures, a beautiful collage, and a video. Okay, the video does not have to be very long, guys. You can also make a fast video. You know how to fasten the video and do it? You can do that also. Okay, Janvi, okay, yeah, time. Janvi, you want to show it? Janvi, you want to show it? Yeah, so Janvi is showing her thing.
Yes, ma'am, it seems like
Yeah, okay, so yeah, this is hard, right? And Devaj was saying this is because of glycerin. Very good, Janvi. Very nice, Janvi. So yeah, Janvi's actually tried it at home. So I want everyone to try it at home. See, guys, it is not difficult. It took you just 5 minutes. Come on. Devaj just showed it to you live. Okay. So can I have some good ideas coming in by Saturday? Just send in me and don't worry, okay? Don't worry. Try your best. It's an activity. It's something which we are trying new. All of us grow plants, we do many things, but trying to prepare bioplastic at home, that's a unique thing we are all going to try, okay? So if nobody has any doubts, let's say bye to Devaj and we can end the meeting. Thank you, Devaj. Thanks a lot.
Ma'am, can we
Thank
use
you.
cornstarch or we have to use starch
Thanks.
only?
Ayana, you can use anything. You can even use your orange peels, which is available on the internet, okay?
Goodbye, ma'am.
But
Bye.
another thing is that
Wait, Devaj is saying something. Yes,
if
yes.
you want to use something like orange peels, you would have to actually extract starch from them because the orange peels contain a lot of impurities. So you would have to look into that, how to do that. Like the one that I made from potato peels, I'd actually not purely extracted starch from them, but I somewhat extracted a lot of starch and some potato peels got left into the mix. So that's how I created my biopolymer.
How can you how can you take out starch?
Okay, so if you go on Google and the link I had given you yesterday, Ayana, they've given you a way how to extract the starch. Okay, if you go through that link, okay, try and use that method if you're using orange peels. The 4 links
Also,
which were, yeah, go ahead, David.
Also, it's not important that you use peels, right? Because sometimes if you use potato, that will be actually better than using potato peels. So, and the method of extraction of starch from potato is also very easy. Like all you have to do is you chop up some of the potato without the peels, and then you leave it in water for some time. After some time, because starch doesn't dissolve in water, it'll settle down in the bottle, like it'll decant, and then you can it'll sediment. Yeah, that's sediment. Sorry, and then you can decant the water, and you'll get pure starch from that,
Okay,
and
so
you
I
can make
think,
it
yeah.
using potato.
Yeah, I think we have to start with the other section also. Okay, guys. Thank you, everyone. If there's any doubt, you can put it on the group. I hope you liked the session. It was different
You can
from your regular.
also,
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank
ma'am,
you,
they can also
ma'am.
text me if they have any doubts.
Yeah, and you can text Devaj also if you have any doubt. Devaj, can you put your
Bye,
number?
ma'am.
Bye bye. Devaj, can you put your number? Yeah, that's Devaj's number, okay? Please note it down. That's Devaj's number in the chat to everyone. If there's any doubt, you can contact Devaj, you can contact me, okay? If there's any issue. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Bye,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.